What's up guys, Cory here. So today we're looking at the star-studded film adaptation of Agatha Christie's popular novel, Murder on the Orient Express, right here on Attack of the Review.
I see evil on this train. A passenger has died.
The film was directed and led by Kenneth Branagh, and it featured a star-studded cast that included Johnny Depp, Daisy Ridley, Michelle Pfeiffer, and Judi Dench, just to name a few. Aha! I'm the greatest detective in the whole world. Thank God I conveniently ended up on this train where there was going to be murder. Let me talk about the overall film first for a second, because it was really well put together. I was expecting the cinematography to be good because it looked great already through the previews, but I was really blown away with that. And I thought the acting, there were so many characters here that for me, I really was personally connected to Poirot. I thought he was really, really well played. Kenneth Branagh, especially with his amazing mustache. I mean, the guy had the greatest mustache in the world in this film. And I mean, his acting was really well off. And I will say a lot of these people had crazy accents, and so there was times I got lost in the dialogue because it was hard for me to even understand what they were saying, because there's just little quirks and, you know, timely manners, because this book was written in 1934 and they're taking a lot of the same influences to give it this newer modern age feel. So I thought that was really cool to approach it that way, and, you know, having somebody that's directing and playing the lead character, I feel like the vision is going to be much more cohesive there, because you just have the pieces that are being acted as well as the pieces that he's wanting to fall into place, and he's being able to manipulate that in the scene himself as a character, as a lead, and it really, really played off well. When they actually introduced Poirot at the beginning, I wasn't that excited. I wasn't very convinced on this guy. I really thought he was just going to be very pretentious, very self-absorbed, but once he actually got on the train and you started to see some of the other characters and the way he was just kind of slowly peeling back his layers, I started to really engage with him more. So not only was he the lead and doing that kind of stuff to help me stay in the film, but I think him cohesively being the glue for all the characters and the relationships and the way you're wanting to figure out what he's figuring out, I thought that was really the only thing that for me stuck through the entire film and helped me, I guess, get through it for the entire time, because there wasn't a lot else to go off of. There wasn't a lot of relatable content other than that. So I'm going to give the cinematography an A, because it was really, really well put off. I'm a big fan of the nice, bright, shiny period piece effect. This was really a book that was written in the 1930s, so a lot of the clothes, a lot of the costumes, a lot of the characters come from those kind of time frames, and having so many different people kind of together and just a huge cast of stars also putting on great performances. Shooting it had to have been done right, and it really was actually in this film. It was something where I was engaged with all of the sound and the cinematography as a whole. It was like it was its own character. It was personified. It really kept me guessing, and it kept me wanting to know things, because there's so many cool creative shots, so many cool creative perspectives, and so many just fun ways to make you feel and put you into the movie with the way it looked. And that's always a plus for me on a film like this, because I need to pay attention to details, and if you don't get to see the details, or if the movie is just lacking its motivation in the storytelling or the imagery, you're going to fall asleep and you're going to miss some very, very valid things unless they just come out of a character's mouth, you know? And now, as if I haven't talked about it enough, I'm going to go ahead and give the acting a B+, because other than Kenneth, I think there was a couple parts that I just wasn't super sold on. I definitely think they could have gave a little bit more to Johnny Depp, because he's immediately a sleazeball, and it's not that they just gave him a couple scars on the face, because even though they did, it's just he's playing his typical, like, almost like a early 1900s Jack Sparrow or something, and it's just so toned down, but it's also, you can tell he's got more in there, and by the time anything happens with the rest of the movie there, he's kind of devolved. And then there's other characters like Josh Gad. He really had some opening to me for a couple moments, and then they just took it back. And other than that, it's like they just didn't have enough to get into these characters, because you have such a big cast. Other than a few, I really enjoyed Daisy Ridley. She was great. Leslie Odom was awesome. It's just a couple other people that it's just, I couldn't get enough of their characters, so it was hard for me to gauge. Even Judi Dench, it was like really hard to figure out, was she suspicious enough for me to believe, or was there a way for me to figure it out? But they go through it so fast that it just was, you know, started to take your time a little bit more. And that's why I say the way it built up was really, really good. It just maybe needed a little bit more time to evolve the relationships between Poirot and some of these characters, but it was still really acted well. And I will say, you know, you get to the climax of the film, and then you're starting starting to see who's supposed to carry these films, or who's supposed to carry these actors, I guess, not just the film, but the actual actors themselves and the characters. But you get some of these people that are really, really in the zone, and I will say people like Michelle Pfeiffer really come out of their shell, Daisy Ridley comes out of her shell, and even Kenneth, he really starts to come out of his shell. And then you start to forget some of the bigger name actors that I won't speak of anything to give it away, but you just start to see some of these really, really big name people that are like, okay, I haven't seen much from him. You get a little something from him, but man, they just really, really bring it together at the end, and you're like, okay, this should have been more impactful. And I think it's only the way the acting and some of the playfulness in the film kind of came out, is that you weren't expecting it to go so dark in the end, and then when it does, you're kind of like, I didn't think it was going to go that way, so I don't know how to feel. You know, I really almost was like, I wanted to be shocked by this, but it feels like that's just a weird, you know, twist thing they tried to throw in there, and the acting really didn't play it off after that. There wasn't a certain character where I was like, oh man, now I don't relate to that person anymore, because now they were just unrelatable to begin with. And even though that sounds like a lot, it's really not as much as you would think. It's just you get to the end of the movie and you realized you were really, really into these characters for no reason. And I guess that kind of just disappointed me a little bit. But hey, I thought it was acted really well, and at least until those last few minutes, just because I was disappointed, I guess, in how flat the ending was, doesn't mean I didn't have a good time getting there. So that's always a plus for me too. So all in all, I'm going to have to give Murder on the Orient Express 3 out of 5 Blu-rays, because it was actually a really, really good film. If it was on television or something, I'd probably click it and turn it on. I'm going to tell other people to go see it just because of how well put together it is. It looks great. And of course, it has a cast of some of the most amazing and influential actors of our generation. So, I mean, it's a film to go see at least, and especially with your family, or, you know, just to have a night out. It's fun. I will say that. It's definitely a really fun movie. So I'm going to say it was a good time, and I can at least recommend it to people. So I recommend it. If you got money to spend, go see it. If not, you know, maybe go watch some football this weekend. But hey, Murder on the Orient Express, go check it out.
My name is Hercule Poirot, and I'm probably the greatest detective in the world.
Well guys, that's all the time we have for this review of Murder on the Orient Express. Let us know what you thought about the film down here in the comments. As always, hit subscribe over on this side, and we'll see you next time on Attack TV.